name is Ode Francis from Citizen TV. Mine is about the lady Nduta who was imprisoned in Vietnam. Two questions. One, so far, apart from Nduta, how many other prisoners do we have in Vietnam in regards to trafficking? And then the second one, I'm tempted to ask if Nduta was apprehended in Vietnam, how did she successfully traffic from JKIA? What does that mean when it comes to our security apparatus within our international airport? Asante.
Thank you. That's a very critical question, and I'll attempt to deal with it in maybe 2 or 3 parts. First, it is unfortunate that a Kenyan is facing this kind of situation. It's not a pleasant situation, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and in particular my PS, has been trying to converse with his counterpart in Vietnam to see if there can be some mitigation in this process. So that is one thing, and we hope that there can be some success so that there is no summary execution as we go ahead. But there are issues that we must also deal with. I can tell you that in different countries today, I may not have an exact figure on Vietnam, but later, because I was planning to issue a statement on this particular space, but I'll attempt to deal with it now. We have a record, and we are still counting, that out of the Kenyans in the diaspora, we have a total of about 1,000 Kenyans in different countries facing incarceration for different offenses. Each country will have a number. Okay? Now, some could be misdemeanors, some could be very serious offenses. So I cannot specifically at this stage tell you that this is the particular offense per individual. And we are trying to gather data from other countries, because as Kenyans travel, they do not declare that they are traveling. So they travel on their own volition. It is their right, and they can go to whichever country they can go to, as long as they have their visas approved by those respective countries. So that's one factor. Second, the issue of drug trafficking. And we are not trying to say she's guilty or not guilty, other than what we have as a record from the judicial process in Vietnam. So ours is not about a judgment, but working on that basis. If we want to also send a clear message as a country, we need to be careful that Kenyans who are stepping out into the diaspora do not fall into the trap of engaging in any illegal activities. It's absolutely important that this is taken. We want responsible Kenyans at home, and we equally want responsible Kenyans in the diaspora, in whatever country you are in. We have been at the forefront in promoting bilateral labor agreements, trade, also focusing on responsible mobility of labor and so forth. We've been talking to these things. And one of the things I've been emphasizing is that please, the young Kenyans that are going out, remember that the moment you board a plane and the wheels have lifted, when you land in whatever country you're going into, the laws that apply are not Kenyan laws. They are the laws of that respective country. So please respect the law. Vietnam has got its own judicial processes, and we want to make it clear that we do not want to market Kenya as a conduit for illicit trade, whether drugs or human trafficking or any other contraband or even illicit firearms. We have to be very clear to this, and we have to be collective and understanding on this matter. So it is important that as we deal with these cases, we have to appreciate that it's a big issue, and in certain instances we have a process where we are also working on instruments that are being negotiated by Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Attorney General's office, so that we can have mutual agreements on even how to deal with exchange of prisoners and so forth. And this is a process where you have to talk to each country separately, because the rules may be different, that would allow mutual exchange of those who either have almost concluded their term.
I have noted, Honorable Speaker, that from this conference, our Kenyan delegation was very active, as it should be, and they were greatly involved in the deliberations that enriched the resolutions that were arrived at, which is what a delegation should always do, especially when they represent our nation anywhere. It's important that a report is returned, that the participation is active, not absent, and that our delegates are able to contribute and enrich the deliberations and the resolutions that emanate from any conference, because ideally that's why the taxpayer uses the money to sponsor our delegation. I have noted with a lot of interest the venue where this conference was taken. That was in Hanoi, Vietnam, a very interesting destination which has been in the discussion of Kenyans lately because of our very own Kenyan, Margaret Nduta, a lady from Murang'a County, whose fate is hanging on the thread because of having been convicted for a capital punishment due to offenses or accusations related to drug peddling or trafficking or whatever it was that has been faced, that Nduta has been faced with. I note, Honorable Speaker, that Vietnam has very strict drug laws, and even before I finish commenting on this, because this was about a global conference on young parliamentarians, and Nduta is a young woman, I have seen for the last maybe a week or so, a very hearted petition by Kenyans to the government to quickly do what it can, discuss with the government of Vietnam how the fate of Nduta, from hanging by the rope or being punished through that injection, could be reversed, and Nduta be allowed to face the Kenyan judicial system. And a caution we would throw to the young people, Honorable Speaker, is that many countries and jurisdictions are very strict on drug offenses and drug charges, and it is very important for young people, when they are approached to do certain things, to be very cautious who gives them what they are carrying or what they are transporting or what suitcases they are handling when they are traveling, so that they don't find themselves in the situation that Nduta found herself in. And we want to thank the PS Foreign Affairs for taking steps to reach out to the government of Vietnam to discuss, and the fact that the punishment was delayed as the governments are discussing was important. Because we know an offense could be an offense, we do not know how the process went, but we do know that the Kenyan judicial system is also eager to enforce the criminal law jurisdiction, and I'm sure if Nduta was returned here, she would still face the Kenyan judicial system, which may be lighter for the family. So we continue to hope that the government will discuss and see that the fate of Nduta is reviewed and that she can face the music back home. Notably, Kenya has no bilateral agreement with Vietnam, and maybe it's time that because the Kenyan embassy that is accredited to Vietnam, nearest to Vietnam is in Thailand, so that I don't even know how our team worked during this time.